night when the cold wind blows, no one cares, nobody knows. I don't wanna be buried in a pet cemetery. I don't want to live my life again.
Hello, boys and girls. It's your favorite hearty host of horror, Benjamin Dutil, for the Horror Heathen YouTube channel and the South Jersey Horror Podcast. In this special magnificent episode, I have the honored guest of Brad Greenquist, which you all know as Victor Pascow in the Stephen King's Pet Semetary, one of my favorite movies, and I am not happy with the reboot because they should just kick that shit out of the internet. I don't like it at all. But the original is the one and only Pet Semetary that I can agree with. So, like I said, honored guest tonight is Victor Pascow. No, my God, I just screwed that up. Brad Greenquist, who plays Victor Pascow in Pet Semetary. How you doing, sir?
I'm great, Benjamin. I'm great. That was quite an introduction. I hope I can live up to it.
Well, I just messed it up, so you're good. Anyway. So, before the interview, I told you I could not find any background information on you whatsoever, no bio or nothing. So can you explain to us who you are, what you do, and if you won any awards in the past?
Sure. Yeah, as I said, I'm of that generation where, the internet and all of this social media, it's kind of, I don't know. I'm just not as, I don't advertise myself personally on it. You know what I mean? So, yeah. So, I've been acting since I made my first money performing in 1977, and I have the first dollar I ever made. I was doing mime. It was a mime in Georgetown in Washington, D.C., and it was my first time out with this friend of mine, and I'd been training for a little while, and we were a real hit in this courtyard. People were applauding us and laughing, and we collected this money. We passed a hat, and somehow, when I was 17 years old, I had the presence of mind to take a dollar that we earned. We split the money, and I took a dollar that we earned, and I put it away. I put it in a book that I had about Marcel Marceau, the French mime, and forgot about it. And then years and years later, once I had kids, one of my kids who was like 2 years old pulled that book off the bookshelf, and it fell to the floor, and it opened up, and there was that dollar bill, and I knew exactly what it was. So I had it framed so that nothing could go wrong with it, and it's on my wall now. That's my first dollar. So I've been performing professionally since 1977. That's a long time, isn't it?
That is. That's amazing too. It's
awesome. So yeah, I trained a lot. I went to a BFA program at Virginia Commonwealth University, which was really terrific, and then went to New York, and I trained a lot in New York. I studied for 10 years with Michael Moriarty, the actor, and that's where I was when I booked Pet Semetary and other movies. I mostly was doing movies in those days, and then eventually moved out to LA and been working in movies and TV and all sorts of things. As far as awards, I understand that I won some festival award as the best supporting actor for this little short film that I did.
Okay.
And the movie was called This Modern Man Is Beat. So I won, and I didn't even know it. I saw it on IMDb that I had won this award. So did that, but also in 1979, I made my own Super 8 film, a Super 8 black and white chase comedy, half-hour chase comedy, like a Buster Keaton sort of film. And I won first place in a film festival. It was awarded best film of the festival and best acting.
Oh, that is super cool.
When I was 19 years old. Yeah, that is pretty cool. And then I was, a few years ago, I helped to produce a short film, and that did the circuit, and that won, that was called Like a Butterfly. and that won like 17 festival awards.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it did pretty well. But I was a producer on that. I was in the movie too because it was just more efficient for me to play this small role than to cast somebody, you know. But I was also I did a lot of the casting on the film and just general producing things, you know. And so it did pretty well in the festivals, which is nice. Those are my awards.
Well, congratulations to you, sir. That's amazing.
But you know, every job, every acting job I get, it feels like an award.
That's a great outlook on life. I'm going to use
Yeah.
that. So
They're tough to come by, you know. They're it's hard to get a job. It still is hard after all these years. But so yeah. So those are my awards. And as far as, you know, well, Pet Semetary, you know, I'm mostly known for that. And when I booked that in New York, and I was like very busy at that time, and I hadn't read any Stephen King. He was hugely popular in the literary world, his books, you know, but his films, you know, back then at that time, horror movies were not considered, you know, anything artistic, really. They were, you know, kind of like, it's kind of a genre that people kind of like were like, it's just a horror movie, you know. And uh so when I auditioned for Pet Semetary, I also had auditions for, you know, like the day before, Brian De Palma, and some other things, something Mike Nichols was shooting, a lot of, like, you know, big movies. I had a really great agent. um and so I didn't, you know, I had a stack of scripts, like 10 scripts for that week, and I read Pet Semetary and I was like, yeah, okay, great. I'll just do something in the audition. I didn't really work on it at all. And I went into the room and did this audition, kind of winging it. And the casting director was like, oh my God, that's great. That's great. And, you know, then I met Mary Lambert. I was called back just to talk with her. And she knew me from a movie I had done previous to that called The Bedroom Window. It was a Curtis Hanson film.
okay.
Very good film, good thriller. And she was very impressed with that work. And so that's why she wanted me in Pet Semetary. And fortunately, I got the job. But, you know, originally, actually, they did not want to see me. Casting did not want to see me. They wanted one of my agent's other clients. But my agent was like, well, if you want to see that client, you have to see Brad too. He was like that, you know, he was a gambler.
That's awesome.
And I ended up getting the role, which was great. So that's how that came about. That's how Pet Semetary came about, you know. And then I was up in Maine for 9 weeks shooting this horror movie with a big makeup job.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
So no, when actors get scripts, it's not, they don't have like the actual movie titles on them. It's like, has like a different title.
Oh, this one was Pet Semetary.
Oh, really?
Know?
Okay.
Yes.
I've talked to other actors like, well, so we got an email and the movie title was called like The Box or something, and it turned to be like Hellraiser. So
yeah.
So,
but that was, you know, that is what it is now. But back then, you know, again, horror movies were like, you know, nobody did horror movies for the glamour, you know. It was still such a side genre, and there wasn't any email or anything like that back then. So, you know, there wasn't much worry about anybody stealing anything, you know.
that's true. Yeah.
And everybody knew Stephen King had written this script. They'd been trying to make it for several years, but everyone kept saying, oh, we got to have a real screenwriter rewrite your script. And he was very adamant about, no, you use my script. I think because he was unhappy with a lot of the adaptations of his work to film. And so he was very adamant about two things: about using his screenplay, and that it had to be shot in Maine, because he was getting a lot of flack from Maine residents saying, why don't you ever get your movies shot here? You know, why don't you bring the revenue here rather than having it shot in LA? So he was trying to do that. But, you know, of course, when I was there, I found a diner that I would go to every morning for breakfast. And everybody was then just complaining about these movie people and how they had to stop streets and how they were getting in the way and blah, blah, blah. And at some point, I just turned around and said, you know what, guys, I'm working on this movie. And do you know how much money it is bringing into your town? Yes, it makes the traffic slower, but it's bringing in oodles of money. And this is what everybody in Maine has wanted, Stephen King to make his movie here. And it's being made. So think about what you're saying.
Yeah, so I get it. It's like this one hand and this the other hand.
Yeah. So I just gave them a little gentle tongue lashing for their complaining, because they were just complaining, you know. So that kind of shut them up, at least while I was there.
So your character, Victor Pascow, is like the voice of reasoning throughout the entire movie. And the main character just keeps ignoring you. And that's what bugs the hell out of me. I'm like, listen to the dead guy. He knows what he's talking about.
Yeah.
Don't just ignore him.
Yes, the way I saw it, he was a guardian angel. Victor Pascow was a guardian angel trying to help Lewis, because Lewis tried to help him. And so, as ineffective as he was also a ray of hope throughout the film, you know. And so, you know, when I saw the remake, the role of Victor Pascow was really cut down to almost nothing, just a messenger role. And I saw it with my family, and one of my sons, he's I guess 20 years old then. He said after the movie, he said, you know, in your version, the original version, whenever Pascow arrived, you had hope. You knew, being a horror movie, it wasn't going to work out, but still you had hope, which helped the ride all the way to the end. And the remake, there was no hope anywhere. It was just, you know, that which is that is kind of updating the story to today's horror movies.
Yeah.
So in that way, you know, I was very happy that he said that, because that is what both myself and Mary Lambert wanted Victor Pascow to be, a ray of hope, even though, you know, it was a horror movie and you knew that it was going to get bad.
But it did so well in the theaters too, from what I heard, because
the opening weekend, it was good. It was, you know, back then, I don't know, it was like 60 or 70 million opening weekend, and that was like great for back then. But the reviews weren't great. A lot of reviews, again, they were like, oh, it's a horror movie from Stephen King, and they looked down on it, you know. And it was sometime after Pet Semetary that Stephen King started to gain some respectability in Hollywood, because everyone was seeing how much money his movies were making, and it became it's grown since then into its own very respectable, very profitable genre, you know. But it wasn't like how it is now. It wasn't like that when Pet Sematary was made. It was a low budget movie.
But now you can say, like, huh, I'm in a Stephen King movie. You know, just
I know.
You brag about that. So
yeah, of course.
That definitely puts you on the radar for other directors and producers and stuff. So in my opinion. So
well, you would think, but none of us got a bump from Pet Sematary. None of us in the cast. I didn't work for like a year after that. With Denise Crosby, it was the same. Dale Midkiff, the same. I think the only one who really got a bump from it was Miko Hughes, who played the little boy.
Yeah, Cage. Yeah, he's actually coming to a convention here in New Jersey next month too. So,
oh, good, great. Yeah. Which one? What convention?
It's called New Jersey Horror Con. It happens twice a year in Atlantic City, New Jersey.
Yeah, I did that a few years ago. I was at that. I'm doing one in Gettysburg. I guess Gettysburg isn't too far from you.
Really? Which one in Gettysburg? I didn't check that one out.
Creature Feature.
Oh,
Creature Feature. March 17th to 19th. And what they're going to do...
I'll write that down.
What they're going to do with me is they're going to have a makeup artist. This will be interesting for anybody who is in the area who wants to come see this. They're going to have a makeup artist put the Pascow makeup on me, so you can get your picture with me. You know, maybe not looking as young as I did, but with the full Pascow makeup on. That ought to be interesting.
It should be cool to see too for the fans. It's gonna be a great experience for them.
Yeah. So that's what we're doing on March 17th to 19th in Gettysburg, creature feature. So come on out, guys. Come on out and get your picture taken with me in full makeup.
So is it just you, or is it gonna be other cast members from the movie as well?
Andrew Hubacek is going to be there as well, who played Zelda.
Oh, the sister in the bed.
The sister
Okay.
in the bed. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, he's going to be there as well. I don't know if he's going to have the makeup thing done. I don't know. His makeup took like 18 hours to put on.
Wow, that's insane.
Yeah.
So for you, it was like nothing compared to him. I mean,
Yes, I had nothing to complain about. That's for sure. But mine took usually 4 hours. If they had to do my legs, that was legs and arms, 5 hours. One time they got my face done in 3 hours. It was a real rush job, but they got it done. But it was also, the shots near the end of the film are much veinier, and so that would take more time because they were all hand painted. It was all hand painted,
So it was like your body was like decomposing more over time in the movie. So
yes.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah. So, but compared to Andrew, that was nothing.
So was your role hard to play in the film, or was it easy peasy rice and cheesy? I mean,
it was hard in with the makeup. The makeup was hard because once it was on, my hands had blood. I had blood on my face, and so and with all that makeup, you can't just go when you have an itch. You can't do it because there's another half hour in makeup, right? So they gave me like a chopstick thing so I could whenever I'd have an itch. And the blood was made of sugar water, like Caro syrup. And so when we were out in the pet cemetery at night, the mosquitoes would come out and they would crawl up underneath my skull cap and crawl up to the top of my head and just start biting me. It was so miserable. Oh, the other thing is I had that cloudy contact in one eye, so I couldn't see distance because I only had one eye that really worked. And so walking down that path into the woods was very difficult because it was very bumpy and there were several hills, but I couldn't see them. So I had to memorize it step by step so that I wouldn't trip and fall, So things like that were quite difficult. The other difficult thing was none of my scenes were very substantial. They were, me popping in and saying, "Look out, don't do it, and those are harder to play than things that have more substance to them.
Yeah.
So that was difficult as well. What was nice was everybody was so very nice to me because they knew I had all this makeup on and and they liked my character, and that was really great. They were really, it was a very sweet crew, and it was a special kind of role, a very special kind of role, and so people really tried to help me as much as they could, and that was really nice, really nice. And the makeup guys were great. It was so much fun to spend that time in the makeup trailer with them. David Anderson and his assistant, John Blake, great.
Well, I'm hoping from now on, in every horror movie, if there's a dead guy, giving warnings that people are going to stop and listen to him. I mean, come on, it's like he's been there, he's done that. Come on, people, listen to him. Do not go to the pet cemetery, people. Otherwise, shit's going to hit the fan, and people are going to die. So,
right. Yeah.
So, were there any times in the movie at all where you had to improv your role at all? Because, I don't know, there's something that got messed up and was kept in the film.
No. That's a good question. No one has ever asked that question. And it's a very smart question. No, everything was scripted and everything was as Stephen King wrote. Although I did, on the set, I had a bag where I'd keep my script and a bottle of water and stuff like that, my chopsticks for itching my face. But I also had a copy of the novel in there all the time. And so I would read the scene that we were about to shoot. Just before shooting, I would read that scene that we were going to shoot out of the novel. And then I would look at it again in the script, right? Because there were certain things that didn't get into the script, like in the Pet Semetary, when I talk to Lewis, and I'm telling him, don't go on, blah, blah, blah. And then he starts crying, he breaks down and falls on the ground. There was a look that Stephen King described in the novel of Pascow looking down at him with great compassion. And I really wanted that to be in the movie. But the cinematographer needed me, because then I rise up, he needed me to look up to aid in the illusion of me going up, right?
Right.
So, because that was all a camera trick. So, but I managed to get in both. I managed to get in this look down to him and linger on him for a moment, and then kind of go up and up into the air. And that's one of my favorite moments in the movie myself, just because I was able to get a piece of the novel in there that wasn't in the screenplay.
That's awesome. Just like, screw you guys, I'm doing my own thing now.
But it's, it was like giving the character whom the audience has just met, and he's really scary looking and they don't know what to make of him, but giving him that little bit of compassion that tells the audience, it's okay, this guy is okay. He looks like he does, but it's okay. He's going to help.
He's the good guy, people, all right?
Yeah, right.
Well, before I wrap this up, before we asked the editor, you were auditioning for other roles. Could you tell us the audience about what roles you're auditioning for? Or is that like a secret squirrel kind of thing going on right now?
Oh, right now? Oh, I can't be specific because we're not allowed to mention anything these days. But some TV stuff. It's been kind of slow lately, this year so far in these 2 months. So just generally, various episodic TV things. I haven't had a movie audition yet this year. Because I really enjoy doing movies.
Yeah.
Television's great. It's really good these days, but movies are just, they stole my heart when I was a kid, and I'm still like a movie guy, So that's what I enjoy most. But I'm also doing a lot of theater out here. I'm on my third play in a row out here, all comedies, which is great. I love getting laughs on stage. It's the best thing ever. So that keeps me really busy when it's slow, So
That's awesome.
yeah.
Well, I believe deep down inside you performed phenomenally as Victor Pascow in Pet Semetary.
Thank you, Benjamin. Thank you very much.
I wish you nothing but success in your career and the best of luck. And I am hoping to see you in more movies because, God damn it, you're a very talented actor. Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. You're very kind.
Ladies and gentlemen, Brad Greenquist, Mr. Victor Pascow.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining me tonight. And I wish you a good weekend. I hope it's a good weekend for you. So, all right. Yeah, this is all I got. Take care.
That's great. We're done?
Yes, almost.